UCEED 2025, one of the biggest entrance exams for design, just got over. And if you didn't know, that's what I was doing. Yes, I was preparing for them, and I just gave the UCEED exam this year on Jan 19th. And I just wanted to come on here and just kind of share my opinions real quick, because the exam was different this year, at least in my opinion. My kind of a few words answer would be like, UCEED was not like UCEED, or UCEED kind of felt like a scam. It just did not, feel like UCEED. It felt like a bit like other exams, at least while I was attempting it. My brain was just like, bro, is the paper like this easy? Like, it just kind of felt easy to me during the exam, and I just felt like they did not have any of those weird questions. Like, if you go to the previous papers, like, this is what I mean, they'd have like weird area questions, weird graphics, and like weird visuals, right? Where you have to kind of break it down and kind of visualize the shape, or unfold the solid, or fold the solid, or cut things up, make a hole through like a roll of paper, and what's the result of it. I don't know, weird mechanical questions. So like there are kind of much more complicated questions that were more related to like, technical and visual kind of stuff with a lot of images. Like their question paper used to have like a lot of images where you had to like really use your brain and like really think, like, and really get your brain fried, I guess. But this year they did not have any like that level of visualization or geometry or maths, like, areas and volumes, cuboids, and that kind of stuff. So none of that was there. So basically what happened is, what would be hard for a lot of people, or what was tricky for a lot of people, the questions where people could lose marks were pretty much non-existent this year. Instead, they had like social science kind of questions, and I was like, wait a second, this is like a lot more GK, current affairs, and observation, and like general knowledge than I've ever seen before in a UCEED paper. So what I mean about the social science, let me explain, is that they had not one, not two, but 3 geography related questions, to be specific, the geography or the map of India. So they had one direct question about geography, which is like, through which of the states do the Tropic of Cancer pass through? And another question about Indian rivers. And oh my god, I saw these 3 questions and I was like, god, I literally have my wallpaper as the Indian map, but unfortunately did not have any rivers on it, which kind of gave me a hard time guessing. But since I have learned it back then in school, I kind of figured it out, and the answer I clicked on was, fortunately correct. But yeah, the Tropic of Cancer and other things were also kind of general knowledge, but it still kind of puts people off if you don't know exactly. That's what happened to me anyway. The other question was kind of a mix of geography and like a bit of visualization, or your spatial ability, I guess, because look at this question. They said that triangle is drawn like using these 3 states, and there's a red dot on one of the sides of the triangle. So on which of these states could the red dot be? So that is definitely testing your geography and your visual or like spatial ability skills. And now the other parts of social science is like, they asked about Mahatma Gandhi and B.R. Ambedkar. So, they did not tell you directly that these are the people, but I think it's pretty obvious to recognize. Like, it's pretty obvious, like you can just directly recognize who exactly it is. But if you don't know a lot about them, or you don't really remember like social science from school, this question can also be a little tricky, because like, I don't know if they're birthdays are on the same date, and I think the answer, like, that's not the answer, so that's that. And it's an MSQ, so you just need to click on one wrong answer and you'll get like a nice negative -1, like -1. That's the biggest negative marking that UCEED has ever had. I kind of wonder, like, did they give you -1 marking knowing that they're going to make the paper a little quote-unquote easier this year? So I think what UCEED was really trying to do this year was test the candidates' observation skills. So they asked many questions related to observation, which I was kind of shocked to see. Like, there were a lot, or like the majority, at least while I was attempting the exam. This is what my brain's thinking. So one of them was a question about mango, jackfruit, chiku, and they were basically like matched these fruits to their leaves. And so if you haven't grown up in a farm, or you haven't seen your grandparents' farm, or you have never, observed what the leaves of the fruits look like, you're losing the marks on that one, or you're getting 0 for that one. Luckily, I kind of had observed these things, I think for the NID exam for some reason, so I was able to kind of eliminate options and kind of intellectually guess the correct answer. It was not a guess, I kind of knew what mango and jackfruit's leaves look like, so that helped me pick the correct option. There was also a question on like rotating anti-clockwise or clockwise. Basically, how do things rotate to open and how do they close? And so this question was there, and you really need to have an observation or like a good memory of how you open bottle caps to answer this one. So that was another interesting question, but also a question where you could lose marks if you just simply guessed something and wrote. And I think the numerical part was also something that's very surprising to me, because the NATs, or the numerical answer type questions, are usually also another place where they do a lot of crazy stuff. They can do like those weird area questions and counting, or like putting up broken pieces together. All that kind of question comes in the NAT part, but it was not that hard in my opinion, or the questions were like not tricky or that complicated. Instead, they asked like direct sort of sequence and series kind of questions, and like direct percentage questions, and only like a few things I was not able to get what is going on. But apart from it, all of it was easy. Now, when I say easy is a very crazy word to say, because when somebody says something is easy, you must be getting like very high marks, or you must be able to get like all India rank of a single digit, like 3 or 2, right? But they just released their answer key, and I was like checking my answers, and I kind of estimated my score in part A. Part B, I can't estimate because I don't know how the examiners are like. I don't know if my drawing is good enough. I mean, I felt pretty satisfied with my drawing. I felt like I did a decent job, a good job. But like, again, I don't know what the examiners are going to check. There's literally a section called scrutinizer on the answer booklet, so I don't know what this scrutinizer is going to do to my drawings. So that's that. But anyway, while I was calculating my part A score, I understood one thing. Even though this paper was technically kind of quote-unquote easy, I felt like, you're only going to get the highest range of the marks that you can possibly get. For example, what I mean by this is I have done UCEED mock tests, and I have consistently gotten marks within a particular range. So that range never changed. So I always got marks for the mock test, whether it was kind of hard or tricky, or whether it was kind of easy, or whether it had the usual question types. On all the mock tests that I did, or all the previous question papers that I solved, I got marks from like a particular range, like let's say from A to B. My range of getting the marks would always be from A to B. And so when I calculated my marks again, what happened is I got marks, or the score that I calculated was like the highest possible, or like close to the highest that I could get within my range. So even though this paper was kind of easy, or had a lot of social science question, if you had practiced mock tests and you were like decently good at the stuff that they're testing, then you would just get the highest possible marks that you can possibly get. And only the other case would be like if you aren't so good at mathematics and numericals and that sort of thing, but you know a lot about social science and or general knowledge, then only in that case would your marks jump up higher than it's supposed to, or higher than it would have before. But yeah, I just think the competition is still kind of the same, because everybody's marks just got like bigger, but like proportionally bigger, because I don't think that you could get a score that is way bigger than what you're really capable of. So you would have, I think, gotten the highest possible score within your capability or within your range. So if you've done mock tests, you would know what that range is. I know mine, so I think that's what's going to happen. But again, those people who it would have been hard for would have gotten a couple more marks if they don't have any negative marking. And there's another category of people who I think don't care about the paper, or who just kind of, wrote it for fun, or those who have no clue about how the pattern is really like. I saw a lot of people guessing answers, like clicking everything or attempting everything. So there you can actually risk losing marks because there is a fat ass negative marking involved. There's 0.7 and there's -1 negative marks for MCQs and MSQs respectively. So that can also have an effect on your grade. So if you could score high but then you clicked on a lot of wrong answers, that score is going to be reduced by a huge percentage. So that's that. The drawing part was, it could be predicted because UCEED uploads their drawing pattern. Like, they can't really change from that, unlike NID. So that was expected. It went pretty well. And this is another thing, just like how I kind of predicted or had this intuitional feeling about questions like the India post and the geographical map questions. I had this intuition that they were going to ask that, like, because they wanted to change things and surprise people. I don't know how or why, but I had that feeling, and it happened exactly like that. And even for the drawing questions, I was like, what are they going to ask? Like the night before, I was like thinking, what are they going to ask? Like railway station, or they're going to tell me to draw that. Oh my god, and that's exactly what came.
So I think the part B was fine for me. But yeah, I don't know what the score is going to be like. So that was my 2 cents on the exam. So if you've written the exam too, tell me how it felt like in the comments below. And you can also correct the answer key if you have any objections against the answers. Right now, the window for that is open. So if you felt like any question was wrong or you feel like the answer is not right, comment down below, as well as comment in the UCEED's official website. So now I'm just like waiting for the results and the cutoff and like hoping that I get in. So like best of luck to everyone who attempted it and everyone who wants to get in. That was my opinion, and there are other videos if you want to watch. So bye.